Hillary Clinton was a huge supporter of the former president of Honduras, whose wife has just been sentenced a huge prison sentence, 58 years in jail for the former First Lady of Honduras, pictured here, Rosa Elena Bonilla. It's the wife of ex-President Lobo. Lobo is pictured here with Hillary Clinton, and Clinton was a huge supporter of his administration, who actually was ushered in after a coup of the previous administration. Hillary Clinton supported this coup of the previous government and was one of the people that propped up Lobo and his new administration, saying that they were fulfilling their obligations and that they should be readmitted to the Organization of American States after his government came into power during the time that she was Secretary of State. So she was one of the people. Clinton was a huge supporter of Lobo's government, and there have been investigations into people in this administration, this being the most recent huge prison sentence here, 58 years in jail for the former First Lady of Honduras. It's the wife of Lobo, who has these close Clinton connections. Bonilla's 52 years old. She's been in custody since February of 2018. Her defense attorney said that Bonilla was innocent and an appeal would be filed with the Central American Nation Supreme Court. That would be her last chance to avoid serving out the sentence. Quote here says the former First Lady, Rosa Elena Bonilla, was sentenced to 58 years in jail for the crimes of undue appropriation of funds and fraud. That's what a Supreme Court spokesperson has said. She had been accused of misusing the equivalent of $779,000 in funds between 2010 and 2014. This is the exact time period that Hillary Clinton was talking about how great this administration supposedly is. Summer of 2010, Clinton was trying to get Honduras readmitted to the OAS, saying that the Lobo administration was great. Meanwhile, they were running this whole scheme. The First Lady using $779,000 in funds between 2010 and 2014, misusing these funds that came from international donations and public funds, and which were meant to be used for social programs, according to an investigation carried out by the Attorney General's office and a unit of the Organization of American States. So they are getting this NGO money, these international donations, and Clinton was facilitating all of that, or promoting the idea that this administration should be getting these sorts of international donations, and this is how they were using it after Clinton had pushed for that. Bonilla used the money to pay for medical bills, jewelry, tuition for her children, and construction work, according to the Attorney General's office. The court had also sentenced one of her close associates, Saul Escobar, to a 48-year jail sentence for embezzlement of public funds and fraud. Even if Bonilla and Escobar do not manage to overturn or reduce their jail sentences, they will only serve a maximum of 30 years, which is the maximum allowed by Honduran law, court sources said. Lobo, who governed Honduras between 2010 and 2014, has also been linked to other criminal organizations and trials in the U.S. and has rejected these accusations. There still could be more to come in these other cases, and the U.S. Might take more action here as well. They also add that one of Lobo's sons pleaded guilty in 2017 before a U.S. court to conspiring to import drugs into the U.S. and was sentenced to 24 years in prison. So these are some pretty major sentences being given here, and interesting given all of these links to people like Clinton and others, and the time period that they were running this whole scheme lines up exactly with when Clinton was promoting this administration as well. They were saying a few days ago that the conviction carried a sentence of between 58 years and 87 years. So she ended up getting 58 years, so I guess the lower end of that range. They do note that she'd been arrested on graft charges early last year. She'd been charged with operating this network that cashed over 70 checks purporting to be legitimate transactions that in part were meant to purchase shoes for poor students. Instead, the funds were given to her accomplices in the scheme who were paid a small commission. A lawyer said that she will seek to overturn the conviction. So 2017 article talking more about Hillary Clinton's role in setting up this whole administration, this corrupt administration in Honduras. Clinton's State Department was in fact rewarding the termination of Honduran democracy in the weeks before the 2009 election. The de facto regime suspended all freedom of expression and association. Clinton's management style constructed a nested succession of proxies, firewalls, buffers, and intermediaries to provide herself with plausible deniability and political protection. As Secretary of State, she was not an autocrat ruling her department, but nevertheless carefully arranged it to produce only those outcomes that she, Hillary Clinton, and her most influential lackeys had personally decided upon. Only one viewpoint was allowed to drive foreign policy outcomes once a decision had been made. She disposed the people around her in such a way that produced a classic stovepipe arrangement which shuts out non-favorable data, and any advisor who persisted in transmitting anything discordant with a predetermined goal was thus filtered out. Her department was thus converted into a veritable maze of stovepipes and stone walls that controlled how Honduras was viewed. Types like Lanny Davis, so a well-known name connected to the Clintons, were allowed to bypass the normal structure of the department, and they point out that Davis had been paid directly by Lobo Sosa, by the ex-president, whose wife has just been sentenced to 58 years in prison. This ex-president gave $20,000 directly to Lanny Davis, a very close friend of Hillary Clinton. Davis was paid over $350,000 by the interim president in Honduras. They're saying that the coup plotters immediately hired Washington lobbyists, specifically selecting Clinton insiders for their ties to the head of U.S. foreign policy. Lanny Davis and Bennett Ratcliffe were experienced surrogates for the Clintons, which is why they immediately became the coup's two top representatives in Washington. The de facto government did not take one move without consulting Ratcliffe. He wrote literally everything that the regime said at the negotiating table. As professional name droppers, these lobbyists were valuable to regimes solely for their personal connections to the Secretary of State. They in fact paid these two Clinton confidants for their very same reasons that the Clintons trusted them. So one of many pictures here of Lanny Davis with Hillary Clinton. Lanny Davis took this money from this administration in Honduras. He's also represented Michael Cohen more recently. So, another time that Lanny Davis has been in the news as of late, but a big name connected to the Clintons, also tied to Honduras as well. Those are some of the notable connections in this case, and major prison sentence as we are hearing in this most recent update. So let me know what you think. Please leave a comment. If you could leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, that is appreciated. Thank you for sharing the information, help getting the info out. YouTube's algorithms are really stopping any kind of important info from actually being recommended to people. So please, if manually share the channel, as everybody has been doing. It's very much appreciated, and you can support the channel directly through Patreon. I have a link in the video description, patreon.com/realityreader or PayPal, paypal.me/realityreader. I'll have both links in the video description. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think. I will follow up soon. Thanks.